How's it going, my fellow snail sufferers? It's your missile guy. Almost 5 months ago, in one of my return videos to YouTube, I made a video discussing the future IR missiles of America and Russia. Today, I wanted to make an update video on the Aim-9X, covering every block variant, including one some of you may not know about, along with potential performance characteristics, and finally, how it'll end up being added to War Thunder. As you can hear, I'm human, I'm capable of making mistakes, I try my absolute best to bring the most accurate information to my channel, but if you catch something that's incorrect, comment below. It helps other viewers, and it helps me improve the accuracy of my future videos. As usual, everything will be timestamped in my usual format. Let's get on with the Aim-9X. In the late 1980s, the Naval Weapons Center began development on the Aim-9R, which was intended to bring digital imaging and fully programmable software into the guided section of the Aim-9. The goal was to make the missile smart enough to target a jet's vulnerable areas rather than just a heat source. This missile featured one of the first IR seekers ever put on an Aim-9, and it went through live fire trials in the early 1990s before funding was ultimately cut following the Soviet collapse. However, the underlying threat that had prompted the Aim-9R didn't go away. The Soviet R-73's high-off boresight capability was a major threat to America. It allowed pilots to engage far outside their own boresight range, making it extremely effective in a hypothetical dogfight. This ultimately drove the Pentagon towards a new missile. That contract ended up in the hands of Hughes, leading to one of the first production models of the Aim-9X. The main one among them was solving the Aim-9M's lack of high-off boresight capability. This was solved by giving the missile thrust vectoring via a complete two-axis control system delivering roughly 50 to 60 Gs of turn capability. The seeker, derived from the lessons of the Aim-9R, was upgraded to a brand new imaging infrared 128 by 128 focal plane array seeker, claiming 90 degrees of off-board sight capability with full compatibility with America's JH-MCS or Joint Helmet Mounted Cueing System. To keep costs down, the Aim-9X reused the Aim-9M's rocket motor, fuse, and warhead, though its lower drag airframe still improved range and speed over the M. It also carried over the Aim-9M's active optical target detector. Other notable features included an electronic safe and arm device and a MIL STD 1760 fiber optic connection to the launcher, similar to the AMRAAM. This missile was also designed from the start to fit in the F-22 Raptor's internal bays, which is why it has a smaller wings and a reverse control surface geometry compared to earlier Sidewinders. The Aim-9X Block 1, the original production standard of the Aim-9X, entered service in 2003. It was built around the WPU-17B propulsion and control section discussed earlier, which added thrust vectoring steering compared to the base Aim-9M and R. This missile featured the brand new 128 by 128 IR seeker derived from the Aim-9R tests. The Block 1's performance characteristics are largely classified, of course, but digging through unclassified brochures and open sources, the Aim-9X has a top speed of around Mach 2.5 with a launch weight of 186 to 190 pounds, or roughly 85 kilograms. Official range is of course classified, but estimates commonly bracket it around 10 to 22 miles or 16 to 35 kilometers. Several sources note that the lower drag airframe extends range and speed over the Aim-9M despite them sharing the same motor. For maneuverability, it's again said to be 50 to 60 Gs via the two-axis thrust vectoring system. The headline spec that differentiates it from the M, since the 9M relied purely on aerodynamic control surfaces. The major weakness of the Block 1, and the one that would actually affect it in War Thunder, is its lack of data link. This missile had no lock-on after-launch capability. It was strictly a fire-and-forget within seeker field of view weapon, which overall hindered its total performance. Though it's worth noting that it was still capable of 180s due to the thrust vectoring, so assuming it could 180 and keep its target within its seeker, it could still do it. The Aim-9X Block 2 first test fired in November 2008 and was built around new electronics, a new processor, and a new rocket motor ignition battery, an electronic ignition safe and arm device, and a redesigned DSU-41B active optical target detector fuse and data link assembly. The single biggest change in the Block 2 is to a data link capability. This lets you fire the missile at the target the seeker can't see yet, cued by the launching aircraft's targeting system, and then let it take over with its own seeker for terminal homing. This gives the Block 2 full lock-on after-launch capability, extending how you can use this missile in combat. It's also worth noting that the Block 2 uses a forward-quarter data link system, similar to the AMRAAMs. It's capable of receiving updates from the launch aircraft, crucial for lock-on after launch, but it can't necessarily send information back, meaning you won't get direct updates from the missile itself. So it's kind of like 1.5 data link. It's not full two-way data link. It's kind of in the middle ground. This upgrade also included a lofting profile, which stretches the missile's effective range against farther targets. That's especially important for shots beyond the standard 3 to 5 kilometer range you typically use this missile at, and it's what truly allows it to hit those max ranges mentioned earlier. Beyond that, other upgrades included better all-weather laser fusing against small and low signature target, as well as improved target reacquisition logic, which means it technically would be better than the Block 1 at missile countering missiles. Sorry to say. Full rate production was approved by the Navy in September 2015 after the Block 2 spent 2013 and 2014 in extended operational testing. Finally, currently in game, we have the Aim-9X Block 2 found on SPAA systems. On screen, I'll display its current stats in the game files. Next, we have the Aim-9X Block 2 Plus, which is often confused for the Block 3 variant of the 9X, but the Block 2 Plus wasn't a capability upgrade like the true cancelled Block 3. This model was aimed at fixing and improving the F-35's survivability. The whole value of the F-35 is low observability, but its internal weapon bays are sized around the AIM-120 AMRAAM and bombs. The standard 9X just didn't fit inside them, which forced the F-35 to carry it externally. That, of course, heavily hurts the F-35's RCS, which the entire airframe was designed to eliminate. The Block 2 Plus exists specifically to reduce that problem, and a proper internal bay sidewinder is developed for the F-35C. That said, the only change of the Block 2 Plus is that it receives RAM coatings, or in the words of the budget documents, it incorporates specialized external materials to enhance platform survivability. So to recap, the only confirmed and assumed changes are stealthy radar absorbent coatings applied to the missile's external body and control surfaces, plus maybe some possible structural and shaping tweaks to the fins and canards, though that part isn't confirmed and it's all assumed. Finally, the Block 2 Plus shares everything else identically with the base Block 2. There was a period of confusion about whether the Block 2 Plus added a two-way data link left over from the cancelled Block 3, but that turned out to be misread. The data link on both the Block 2 and 2 Plus is the same link. The Aim-9X Block 3 was conceived as an answer to a tactical issue. The Navy wanted the F-35C to be able to carry a total of 6 BVR-capable weapons, 4 AIM-120 AMRAAMs internally plus 2 longer-range missiles externally, turning what's normally a close-range dogfight missile into an actual standoff weapon, usable well outside visual range. The driving threat was the anticipated difficulty of using radar-guided weaponry against other advanced stealth fighters such as the J-20 or the J-35. A passive infrared-based missile with much greater range wouldn't depend on emitting radar energy, making it far less vulnerable to RF jamming the opposing aircraft could potentially employ against missiles like the AMRAAM. The technical scope of the Block 3 called for reusing the entire Block 2 front end, its seeker, optical fuse, and data link while redesigning a whole new back half. This gave the missile the same tracking capabilities but with a new upgraded motor. Two options were discussed, either a fatter motor which allowed for more burn time, or a dual pulse motor which burns in 2 separate stages rather than a single burn, further extending its powered flight and giving it more range and energy flexibility. This meant the overall body would grow from 5 to 6 inches to accommodate the larger motor, a first for the entire AIM-9 family. The motor itself would be significantly upgraded, packing a denser propellant grain configuration into the casing for more total impulse without a larger overall size. One of the most important upgrades was a total range increase of 60% over the standard Block 2, a figure cited consistently across Navy budget justifications and trade press from 2012 onward. All of this was to be done while still maintaining the original Block 2's within visual range high off-board psych performance. The goal of this upgrade was strictly range without losing close-in performance, the same concept behind the ASRAAM. Ultimately, this missile was cancelled in fiscal year 2016. The cause was the Navy cutting its planned F-35Cs. Since the 6-missile internal and external loadout concept was built specifically around that variant, reducing the F-35C numbers undercut the program's justification, which is what led to its cancellation. Hypothetically speaking, if this missile were added to War Thunder, it would likely be modeled very similar to the ASRAAM whenever that came, since both share a similar goal of extended effective range. The only difference is the Aim-9X would retain its thrust vectoring, whereas the ASRAAM lacks thrust vectoring entirely. I have an interesting honorable mention here. There's a recently emerging program for the Aim-9X compact variant, or the Aim-9X CV for short. This will be a smaller airframe version of the standard 9X, said to currently be in early development by the Navy in cooperation with the Air Force. The Navy requested $83 million for work on the Aim-9X CV. Its purpose is to give greater standoff range and improve kinematic performance over the Block II, and it's aimed at being used in drone wingman programs meant to accompany 6th generation fighters like the F-47. Finally, for performance characteristics, we could assume it'll achieve a slightly higher range due to denser, higher impulse propellant and an improved motor. It's also likely to be an overall lighter missile due to modern composite materials and an overall reduced mass, and I'd assume even better aerodynamic refinement on top of that. That said, I'd guess the Aim-9X CV higher standoff range claim is aspirational at best. Historically speaking, compact and miniaturized munitions programs usually undershoot their full-size counterparts. I'll note, this is all speculation. We have no official details on its performance, and I can only make guesses based on information presented in the history of these missiles. So, my final thoughts on the matter. Eventually, the Aim-9X will come to aircrafts in War Thunder, hopefully alongside the mass addition of proper counterparts. This missile won't disappoint. While I do think it'll be lacking compared to other missiles just due to the nature of its design, it'll still be an extremely potent missile, assuming Gaijin models it half decently and doesn't nerf it on purpose just to make it worse. I also, again, highly doubt we'll see a real solution to the IIR problem. Currently in game, all IIR seekers are modeled with gate whiff and seeker suspension, and I doubt we'll see a true form of IIR modeled for these missiles unless a big change is made, since missiles like the KH-38MT are completely unflareable, which I'm sure you guys don't want. I've seen mixed opinions. Some people believe these missiles should be unflareable, but I just don't see that being an option. The outcry from all types of players would likely be massive, and I don't think guys would want to risk that. So there's a good chance that if they can't figure out how to make IR seekers balanced or work correctly, we'll just see them added with the base gate whiff and seeker suspension that's already in game. And to be honest, it works quite well, so it wouldn't really be a problem. Anyways, that's all I have for you, my fellow snail sufferers. I decided to make a 180 and go over missiles like these individually since I've gathered a lot more accurate information compared to before. If you found this video interesting or enjoyed it, consider leaving a like, hyping the video up, or if you want to support the channel even further, hit that sub button. It's the best free way to support the channel as we slowly grow towards 4,000 subs. Well, there you have it, my fellow snail sufferers. This was your missile guy, and I hope to see you in the next one.